I went to a high school in Brooklyn, and at one point in Williamsburg, so a poor neighborhood, poor students. And one day it was announced that the Museum of Modern Art, which I never heard of, was giving 1 or 2 tickets to the school to let students use. So you could visit MoMA with free admission. And I borrowed the ticket and discovered MoMA. And after a while discovered that in the basement, they showed movies. They showed movies from all over time, all over the world. And one of the films I saw was Greed by Erich von Stroheim. And I came out stunned. And then I read the papers they gave out with each film, that this was only part of the film, that he had shot an 8-hour film, and that the studios had disposed of the rest of the movie. Everyone that saw it in the MGM realized this is the greatest film ever made. They all said it, and then they destroyed it. They reduced it down to a normal size film, maybe 2 hours, and they got rid of the other footage. They got rid of it. And I was maybe 17, and I knew from that point on, I would never want to go to Hollywood. You know, they're stupid. They're smart and they're stupid. I also saw Jean Vigo, Zero for Conduct. So I knew there was something else besides the really stupid movies Hollywood was turning out, with very few exceptions after the war. I mean, the sweet smell of success is a tower. Most movies were imbecilic. They were telling you to be an imbecile. I lived with my grandparents, and my grandmother outlived my grandfather. And after the war, she was getting she was hearing from a couple of relatives in Russia, in the Odessa area. And at some point I saw a picture that someone had sent, made in the studio, of his daughter and himself. There's a man standing with a young daughter, and they were living skeletons, and they were dressed in their best, but they were skeletal. And they had behind them, like this, a picture of swans in a pond. Swans in a picture, behind them. So this was their picture to send to my grandmother, who was sending packages to them. So I wasn't ready to make movies. I was trying to deal with that. And then I was very aware of this country's history, and I was moving towards making a movie called Star Spangled to Death. I was also interested in painting, and painting also seemed the most accessible way to operate. And the New York School was on, the action painters and abstract expressionists, and that's what I was studying. And the films were in line with that thinking. I made a film of Orchard Street on the Lower East Side. Again, the Jew thing, okay? I'm hostile to religion of all sorts. I hate them all. I hate them all. They're all of them seem like children's stories that have been taken to heart and passed on, and codified and made into the rule, the law. They're all horrible. But I was drawn to film Orchard Street on the Lower East Side. Because at that time, it was still very Jewish, all kinds of people, but it still had that quality that early Williamsburg in Brooklyn had for me, and I needed to still deal with that. I was looking for a musician, thinking at the time, well, this is a silent movie, it has to have music. I don't think that way anymore. And I worked in a bookstore earning 65 cents an hour, the minimum wage. And the guy who ran the bookstore was a poet, and he said that he knew a musician. I should bring over my film and show it at his house. And I did. And then when I got there were people. There was the avant-garde intellectual, cinema intellectuals of New York, which he sprang on me. One of them was Jonas and his brother Adolphus. And I showed this film of the streets of Orchard Street, and they were very against it. And someone approached me and said, someone made a film of a street crowd in Britain, and you can see them eating, and you see how disgusting they were, food going in and out of the mouths. That was a comment, and it was so far away from anything I wished to do what I had done. I was trying to catch the actual life of the place. So that was the level of criticism. Jonas was quiet. He didn't say anything. And he recited some poetry in Lithuanian that no one could understand. So I don't know who he was. I just, years later, I recognized this was Jonas. And his brother Adolphus was there. So they were very hostile to Orchard Street. There was a lot of jealousy, a lot of backbiting, a lot of dismissing somebody else for being somebody else. And Jonas was a very important figure, and he made a network of sorts appear, a category of filmmaker. But mostly we were poor artists drawn to work in film with very little money, but also enjoying the freedom of making your own films your own way on your own money, allowed you. And the movies were deadly then. It was the 50s. It was political oppression like you can't believe it. You can't believe how asphyxiating it was. Structuralism it's very simplistic thinking. If somebody could see a scheme to something, it became structural. I never thought of such a thing. I worked at what interested me. Let's say Hollis Frampton would work with schemes, okay? And if you didn't get the scheme, the film was just very boring. You had to understand the scheme and how this fit into the logic of the scheme. But visual, forget it, okay? As a sensory work, he made some things that were better after a while. But the thing that brought him attention was this logic that was that was very evident in the work, and the fact that it was so far from a sensory experience. It's a strange world. Society is strange. We are strange. And I think that, cinema generally is an effort, when it isn't being stupid and commercial, is an effort to understand where we are, what's going on. It's really mystifying. And There's, great story films like Eight and a Half, that try and help you understand where you are. But I think I've also been interested in not letting the understandable limit us, going into places that are real, are vital, but are also beyond understanding until maybe we get a larger understanding. I follow this and that idea, this and that urge, this and that curiosity. I'm a promiscuous filmmaker who doesn't have proper inhibitions. A good cook tries things, okay? A little of this, a little of that, a new dish. You try things. Interesting. Not interesting. Let me go another way. So I guess that's experimental. You poke around and some things are rewarding and some things are not. So I think experimental is a legitimate term. I know that Jonas reacted because experimental sounded like someone didn't know what they were doing and would throw this in, that in, and that would call it a movie. So I think he objected to that. No, what I'm talking about is much more purposeful, including the times when you decide not to assert a purpose. Well, it's all, individual, and it's, if your life has led you to a place where you just fall into this, you're open to it, or you're not, in which case a teacher might help you to it. And that this is a wider way of thinking, and there's things here that you can grow on, okay? Unless your deep need is to make money. You just need to make money. If you make money, it will prove who you are. That is who you are. You're all that money. I think is crucial. I think these things, in their very diverse ways, help create the mind. And we need mindfulness. Boy, do we need it. Some people can proceed in a very structured way towards learning something. And some people have to throw something out the wall and see what sticks. You have to be willing to screw up. But it doesn't mean that you don't know what you're doing. You don't know what you're doing, but you're following hints in the brain, hints in the mind that are moving you this way, that way. The mind is operating. It's operating outside of language, perhaps, but there's a realm outside of language. Language only covers so much. We went to Boulder, Stan Brakhage. He didn't live in Boulder, but right close to Boulder, and spent a lot of time there. And Sally was there. She was very nice. She was very tall. She was very good-hearted, extremely good-hearted. And she was very human. She wasn't a strange wacko. She was solid and very, very human, really nice person. Very, very well-meaning. Her attitude towards us was very welcoming and appreciative. Ricardo was much younger, and it was like a little bit like she was taking her son along with her. But at that time, they seemed very happy together. She definitely made the city accessible to us. She was enthusiastic and helpful, and a very nice spirit. She laughed at my jokes. There's an avant-garde on video, working in video, and I think it's thousands of people, and some very good ones. Like very occasionally, I poke in to see what people are doing, and it's extraordinarily high work. I'm concerned, are these people seen? Are these works seen? And perhaps they are by other people who are also interested in this area, interested in what can be done. What can be done is what can be done with us, what can be done to explode our ossified preconceptions of things. So there's a lot of work out there now, more than ever, more than could be dreamt of then. At that time, you just needed, odd people. Now, now it's just people. I think the avant-garde is virulent today, is as much as it ever was, and a lot more people, because people like you have been teaching it, and exciting young people into picking up on possibility, and new cameras come along, new technologies. It's got to create a ferment of new stuff.